Good morning, Sheila. How are you this morning?
Good morning, Wayne. I'm very good this morning. And how about yourself?
I am doing well, thank you. The weather is gorgeous and I can't wait to get back outside.
Okay, well let's get this going then.
Okay, and welcome everyone to 27 Minutes with Sheila and Wayne, where we explore the fascinating world of verbs and their impact on our daily lives. Join us each week as we delve into the different ways that verbs shape our language and influence what we do, as we are attempting to make a positive difference in our world, one verb at a time. And Sheila, what might our verb be for today?
Today's verb is to cut.
Ha!
And I'm going to let you do the definitions, but I'm going to tell you three things or more that I have cut poorly in my
Okay.
life.
All right.
Okay.
All right. And how, first of all, how can our
Oh,
listeners contact you with questions and comments?
thank you for asking. I can be reached at zekeandsheila@yahoo.com.
And that can be reached at Wayne at mindsyncing.com. That's MindSyncing.com. And thank you for our supporters and listeners who have
Yes.
contacted us via email to say, good things and to give some ideas on what
Mhm.
we can change in the future. So thanks a lot for those and keep them coming, please, because we are
Yes.
certainly looking at those.
Yes.
Now, what are those three things that you were talking about?
Uh, uh, I had a boyfriend many, many years ago who had curly hair and he was job hunting and didn't have a big budget. So he asked me to cut his hair for him. And when he did get a job and got a regular haircut, I was there when the hairstylist said, "What in the world happened to your head?"
Okay.
Okay. Another thing I cut poorly is watermelon,
Ah,
onions.
ah,
And once I cut curtains way too short and you can't unsee that. So,
okay.
okay.
So
How
that's
about
so that's four
that's
things.
four things. Yeah, I said three. I meant four.
That's all right.
How about you? What are some definitions for to cut?
Oh my goodness. And I have a whole list of definitions
Oh
here.
my.
So
Okay.
it might take us 27 minutes just to get through this list.
Okay. Let's
All
go.
right, here we go. So one of them is to break the surface of something or to divide or make something smaller using a sharp tool, especially a knife. Another, to make something shorter, lower, smaller, etc. To remove something from something else. Haha.
Hmm.
Here's one. To not go, especially to a place where you should be. Here's one. That's like church,
Oh,
cut.
oh, oh. Okay.
I'm cutting going to
I
church
was I
today.
think school.
Yeah. Here's one. To stop or interrupt something. To grow a new tooth.
Oh. Ah, to cut a tooth.
Cut a tooth, right? And I'm glad you said that. I have a few more, but you get the gist of where this was going. Um, I have a list of what I used to say as a kid,
Okay.
and what I've heard other individuals say over the years, using the word "cut"
All
as the
right.
first word.
All right.
And you probably know some others, but here's some. I'm not going to say them all. Cut class, like we just kind of talked about cutting
Mm-hmm.
church.
Yep.
Cut a rug, and
Oh, yeah.
yeah, that's dancing for those of you who don't know what cut a rug means. Cut in line.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Cut the
Boo.
boo. Yes, cut the mustard.
Yep.
And as a kid, I used to think, cut the mustard. What? Mustard, it's liquid. You can't cut that. But I soon learned that it was to cut, make the standard above the standard.
Ah.
Anyway, to cut a deal,
Mm-hmm.
to cut corners,
Mm-hmm.
to cut some slack,
Mm-hmm.
to cut in front of,
Mm-hmm.
cut the chit chat.
Cut it out.
That's on this list. You saw
I
my
know.
list. I'm going to say two more. Cut your losses
Mm.
and cut off at the knees.
Mm-hmm.
And then one thing that everyone does not like in the elevators when somebody cuts the cheese.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
right. And there's others, but I won't bore you with all of that. Hey, what were your first thoughts when we talked about cut?
Well, I started thinking about things I cut poorly, and I started thinking about. And by the way, I have a key for how to efficiently cut a watermelon later. I'm just going to say it now.
Okay,
It's
please
just
do.
I'm a deep thinker, Wayne. So it turns out when you're cutting a watermelon, one of the secrets is to cut the ends off first so you can set it on a flat end and then you cut it down the middle. I
Ah,
have you ever tried to balance it on its side while you're trying to cut it in half and it doesn't want to stay in that position and the knife goes every which way and then you cut off
yes.
an arm or a finger?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, yeah. Turns out you just cut a bit off each end and even off the side if you want to, and then you have set it flat on the surface and finish your cutting.
Good tip.
Yep. Okay.
Yes. All right. And it's strange that you are saying this, and I'll tell
Okay.
you why it's strange later on, but I'll please continue.
No, no, I'm done with the
Oh,
watermelon.
okay. Well, this pardon me. This is the strange part because I said, okay, cut. And I
Yeah.
could think of all the negative things that we can use for the verb cut.
Oh.
And I said, okay, I don't want to do that. And then I thought about, okay, well, what about at work? And I thought, okay, cutting budgets, cutting positions. And I said, nope, that's too close to things that's going on these days. And
Okay.
this is not a political show, so I'm not going to go down that alley. And
Okay.
so I continued to look and look, and then I found something. Do you like brownies?
Yes.
I love brownies.
Okay.
Do you put nuts in your brownies?
Sometimes, but not when my sister's eating them.
Good. Or me, because I don't like nuts in my
Okay.
brownies. I
All
love
right.
nuts and I
Oh,
love chocolate.
interesting.
I don't want them together.
Okay.
So chocolate chip cookies and brownies, no, 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 no nuts. But
Okay.
anyway, now, have you found a good way to cut brownies where they don't clump up on the knife and you pull batter or dough out of one part of the brownie as you're coming through the knife cutting thing with the
The
with the brownies?
only thing I can think of is to leave them on the counter for 24 hours or put them in the refrigerator.
Aha, see you are much more well in tune than I am.
Or just a more experienced brownie maker. What's your solution?
I found an article is my solution.
Oh, good. Okay.
6 effective ways to cut brownies cleanly every time.
Does it work for watermelons too?
I, maybe I don't know,
Okay.
but this article is by Sarah Breinstein,
Okay.
and she says, "Hey, after you're done making a perfect tray of brownies, you reach you reach one of the most challenging parts of the whole brownie baking experience, which is cutting them."
Okay.
And now she talks about how this is all going to elongate the whole process of making the brownies, but it's some of the things you've already said. And she says, why are brownies hard to cut? She says the main reason why brownies can be so hard to cut is because they are so soft and
Mm-hmm.
dense. I love that. I love the gooey, chewy. I could taste. See, after this, I'm going to go make some brownies. I'm telling you all that chocolate can be
Mm.
mashed together under the pressure of a knife. And she's absolutely right because I'm one of those. As soon as the cookies, the cake, the brownies
Oh
come out of the
yeah.
oven, I got to
Yep.
cut it and have one.
I hear you. I understand.
And just a frozen glass of milk just tastes so good with that. Oh my goodness. See, I'm salivating now.
I can tell. I mean, I hear
Yes.
it in your
Yes.
voice.
Golly, I'm dripping all over my mic. I got to stop that. That's okay. But she says, hey, when you make brownies, you may also have a tendency to underbake them to ensure that they have a chewy texture,
Hmm.
which again makes it hard to cut brownies. And she's absolutely right. But I found that I have been baking them longer
Hmm.
because I want them to be more consistent, have more consistency so I can cut them
Hmm.
as opposed to the gooey. And I lose the gooey. It becomes hard on the edge. So I've never mastered this. But reading her article, I'm thinking, I'm going to make some
All
today.
right.
So here we go. She says, well, if you have struggled to cut your brownies cleanly, know that you are not alone. Yay.
Yay.
And that it is not your fault. Brownies are hard to cut for anyone.
Okay. There you go.
Yes. So here she goes. She says, "Hey, here's some of the methods that she has said,
Okay.
and as you have already suggested, put them in the refrigerator."
Okay.
She says, "Yeah, but make sure that they are absolutely cool.
Oh,
They
right.
have cooled down from the oven." And she says, really kind of take them out of the pan, put them on tray, plate, whatever paper, wrap them up, put them in in the refrigerator. She also says you can put them in the freezer until
Okay.
they
Oh,
freeze.
okay.
And I thought, okay, but I want the brownies now.
Immediately, right.
Yeah, right? Yes. So, and so after you've either taken them out of the refrigerator or the freezer, she gives us six methods. I'll give you the first two, and then we'll come to you because I understand you have a lot to talk to us
I
about today.
do. I do.
And I'm looking at the clock. It's 17:30, so we're good.
Okay, good.
She says use the hot knife method.
Ah.
I said the hot knife method. Okay, and all that is you either run hot water or you have
Uh-huh.
water in a large glass or something. You take one slice with the knife
Mm-hmm.
and you wipe it off. You put it in the hot water again, let it heat up, and then you
Mm.
take it out and you do that again. And you know
So you're
you
melting the chocolate while you're cutting.
yes. And she says that
Nice.
fuses the ends, so it's a clean cut.
Nice.
Yes, yes.
Nice. Okay.
Again, she says it elongates the process, but you're going to have perfectly cut brownies. She says frozen brownie method is, again, to do it the same way. Let the brownies freeze for several
Mm.
hours,
Mm-hmm.
ensuring that they are completely frozen. And then once the brownies are frozen, hey, unwrap them from the brownie paper sheet, whatever you do. And then you take your knife and you press down. Don't slice, just press
Mm.
down and
Mm-hmm.
then lift up. Wipe the knife off,
Mm-hmm.
stick it in hot water. Here comes the hot water
Mm.
method. So
Okay.
she combining things, and you do that. And again, you slice, press down, um, wipe off, hot water, and repeat that, repeat that, repeat that. And she
Okay.
says you'll have a perfectly cut tray of brownies. And I'm thinking, oh, this is good. Okay, I have four more to go, but I will turn it to you, my friend.
I'm going to tell you a couple ways to cut your electric bill this summer. Because
Okay.
I don't know about you, but I've already seen mine starting to go up. And I
Ooh.
certainly had high heating bills this year. So these are, of course, you can put new ducts in, do all that stuff. But these are easy little fixes. And one of these is from WBALTV.com. The Rosin Reports says, I'm not going to get a new thermostat. That's an expense.
Mm.
But it says adjust your ceiling fans to spin counterclockwise in the summer, and that pushes the heat down or the cool down. And
Yes.
in the winter it pushes the heat down. Yeah, in the summer it pushes the cool down. And I never can tell what is counterclockwise. How do you know? And so what you do is you stand underneath it, and if
It's a
it's
little
going
switch.
like a clock, then it's
Yes.
clockwise. So you want it to go the other way. That it sounds so simple, but honestly, that's one of the things that challenges me. The other one is to close vents and doors in unused rooms.
Uh-huh.
These are just simple.
I
The other
like
one is
those.
to change your air conditioner filter every month instead of every 3 months, or however often you do that. So I thought, well, that's a good thing.
Yes, those are all good so far.
Another one is to keep it between 70 degrees and 78 degrees Fahrenheit while you're at home, and raise it to 78 degrees Fahrenheit when you're going to be gone for a couple of hours.
Hmm.
So it makes a big difference, meaningful savings. Also, you don't want furniture or curtains or anything to obstruct your vents. But closing your curtains during peak daylight can work, as well as having indoor plants that can offer shade.
Mm.
Turn your oven off as soon as you're done with it, or better, because it acts like a space heater. But better yet, grill outdoors or prepare non-cooked meals or slow
Ooh.
cooker. I mean, not slow cooker, instant pot meals or things like that.
Uh-huh.
So, and then there's something called a phantom load, which is a hidden energy use, which comes from household devices that draw power even when they're switched off. And so, do you need your coffee maker on all day? Do you need to have your chargers plugged in the wall at all times? Do you need to have a computer on all day? Maybe not.
Ah, a phantom
Oh,
load. Huh.
phantom load, right.
Huh.
Then they go on to in upgrading your insulation or getting smart thermostats. But basically, you can start with these free or low cost adjustments that will ease the impact. And when I read this article yesterday, I went and changed my furnace filter and then tried to play with turning the fan around. So I'll let you know if it makes a difference for me this
These
month.
do, yes.
Okay, now back to the brownies because I'm getting hungry.
Oh, okay. Yes, yes. Sarah says there's a cooking spray method. And all that entails is just spraying a slight bit of cooking spray on the knife or utensil that you're
Oh,
using.
okay.
Cut, wipe, spray, cut, wipe, spray. Again, elongating that
Okay.
process, but again, perfectly cut brownies.
All right.
Here's one that I had never even considered: plastic knife method.
Hmm.
She says those little plastic knives that you get
Mm-hmm.
at these fast food restaurants,
Mm-hmm.
she says using a plastic knife to cut your cooled brownies rather than a knife with a metal blade. Plastic knives are naturally non-stick,
Hmm.
so they should not tear.
Hmm.
And and I tear brownies all the time trying to cut them.
You
And
do what
so
you
the
have to
plastic
do.
knife, again,
Okay.
cut, wipe, cut, clean, wipe, cut.
Ah,
Again, you have to
I
continue to
I see
do
the
that.
wiping bit. Yeah.
Yes. She says there's a cookie cutter method. Just get a cookie cutter shape that you like. And again, the
Uh-huh.
cookie cutter is particularly great for brownies because you press straight down
Oh, right.
and then you lift straight up and then you carefully remove the brownie.
And then you have all that edge part that you can eat while you're
Absolutely.
cutting the others for everybody else.
Yes, yes, yes.
Nice.
Now, here's one that I had never even considered ever. I would have never even thought of this. And she says, when you do this, make sure it is unflavored
Huh.
dental floss.
Well, mint and chocolate go together.
Yeah, well, not in my brownies because I don't do mint in my brownies.
Okay,
No,
fair
mints
enough.
or nuts. No.
Okay, well, now you're
But
getting a long list here.
yeah,
So,
that's right. Well, that's true. She says you use the length of the cut either lengthwise first or widthwise first. It doesn't matter, but your dental floss has to be longer, obviously, than um,
right.
that length or that width. And she says you just press down firmly. She said now you could use dental floss or a wire, a thin wire, but the
Oh,
same results.
okay.
And again, once you use the dental floss once, it's dental floss. Wrap it up, throw it away, get another length,
Or,
and
or better yet, just imagine flossing your teeth with chocolate flavored dental floss. I mean, it might be counterproductive, but doesn't that sound great?
well, wait a minute. What about
Okay.
yeah? So you just give the dental floss industry a great idea. Let's have
Well,
some
you're welcome.
brownie. Thank Sheila Barrett. You heard it today, folks.
That's a free one.
Okay, and that's all I have for that article with Sarah. I
Okay.
do have another article, but I will turn to you because you have lots to tell us. We have 10 minutes left, so
Okay. I looked up an article, and it turns out, well, this was a reporter, Carrie Justice, who worked, I think she works for Yahoo. She wrote an article this month, 2 days ago, actually,
oh, okay.
about new apps, and there are two that make you work for your online scrolling time. So one of them
Huh.
called Steppin, Steppin, makes you stroll before you scroll, and as they say on their website. And in order to scroll, you set it up ahead of time, and she in turn set it up for every 100 steps that she took. She would get a minute of screen time on the apps that she chose to limit.
Oh, wow.
So, so so it starts at 0 every morning. So at night. So she wakes up in the morning and she can't scroll automatically because she hasn't earned any points yet or
Aha.
any minutes yet.
Yes.
So they're incorporating physical activity with your ability to scroll. Now, it doesn't mean you're stepping and scrolling at the same time. It means, well, first of all, they Yahoo News took a poll of 1,560 U.S. adults and found that 96 of the respondents who own a smartphone, of those 96, 46% say they spend too much time on the devices. So it's a way to incorporate uh, a moral activity with the moral panic you feel after scrolling for 5 hours on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, etc. So you get to choose which apps you gray out, and when you've run out of time, they just black out or gray out, and you have to get more steps in order to get more scrolling time. So she did this and found that the day before she used this Steppen app, and you link it with your Apple fitness information. So she, the day before, was scrolling on Instagram for 2 hours and 11 minutes. And once she started using this, she spent less than 30 minutes a day on the app. So,
Okay. Huh.
although she did confess she snuck a few little moments in on LinkedIn on her desktop because
Cheater,
it doesn't
cheater.
exactly, it doesn't work on desktop. And then real quickly, the other app is called FitLock. By the way, excuse me, Steppen was invented by the fellow who started Kayak. Uh, Paul English, CEO of Boston Venture Studio and the co-founder of travel website Kayak. So
Huh.
he's got some experience behind him. And allegedly, they don't share your data.
Okay. Yes.
So Fitlock's mission statement is we're on a mission to enhance lives by transforming how people interact with technology. Our app empowers users to increase their fitness and activity levels while reducing screen time and addiction.
Hmm.
So their statement is move more, scroll
Scroll
less.
less.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
And what makes theirs different is that they have other physical activities you can add in there. It's not just walking. You can also work out or cycle, and it's cycling distances measured, etc. So if you find you want to cut out an unhealthy, addictive, dopamine-inducing habit, here are 2 ways you can do that.
Excellent.
Yay. So you have more brownie information.
I don't. I don't.
Oh,
But I, except that I'm going to make some.
okay. Yeah.
However, I do have another article,
Okay.
and this is Cut the Fluff.
Oh,
It says Mastering the Skill of Straight to the Point Conversation by Grammy
oh.
Richards. And he says, and I did this because I said, all right, I am all like you. I think you told me at our prelude here, you have 15 pages of notes.
I'm
I remember
racing through them. Yes.
I remember one episode I had 22 pages of notes.
Wow.
And this is 27 minutes with Sheila
Yes, it
and Wayne.
is. That's right.
We don't have
We
all
do
that time.
not. No, we don't.
And so I said, what can I do to help us? And I looked at this, and Grammy says, hey, we can embrace brevity. Yay. We can plan our points. Yes. We can be active, not passive, using the active voice, not the passive voice. And I said, okay, now why is that? And he says, because using the passive voice typically takes more words.
Qualifying words. You're right. I am guilty of that.
Okay. He says, number 4, and we got 5 minutes. So I'm going to go to 4, and then I'll leave the last 4 for after you give us some more information. He says, limit jargon. And then he says, ask for feedback. You'd be surprised as what people would say, hey, don't do that anymore. Because that just
Oh,
because remember, we got one feedback
we did.
from Jeremy, as a matter of fact,
Yeah.
as I remember. And Jeremy says, take out this part because I want to hear more about the verb and what's going on, how it impacts me. And so,
Great.
yes, so ask for feedback, and that certainly helps. Okay, to you, my friend, it's 4:32. I'll come
Okay.
back with 4 more later,
Okay.
or 3 more later, and
I want to talk about something serious here. And I hope that this is not a trigger for anybody. It is called self injury: 4 reasons people cut and what to do.
mm,
And cutting, in case you don't know what that is, it's a self injury, a non suicidal self injury where people will take a knife or something and cut their skin. And the whole emphasis I want to focus on here is how to stop it, because I don't want to talk too much about it in case, again, it is very uncomfortable for people. So if you want to stop listening now, this is a good time if this is a challenging topic for you. But basically, it often begins during the teenage years, on the average between ages 12 and 14. According to some studies, 1 in 5 people have done this, have either cut or otherwise deliberately injured themselves in their lifetime. Approximately in a 2012 review of 52 self injury studies, approximately 18% of the people have done this in their lifetime, which is almost 1 in 5.
mm.
And it is surprisingly common during the teenage years. So cutters are not trying to kill themselves. they're just trying to not feel numb. So it's not like belly button piercing or nose piercing. Those don't count, as some parents think they are. But I'm not going to talk too much about why people do it, except that oftentimes people who are very self critical, people who are very dissatisfied with themselves, people with a history of trauma. But I want to say that in a 2015 study, researchers did ask people who formerly cut themselves why they stopped. And if you have someone in your family or you yourself struggle with this, honestly, the main thing is to get help for it. It is very, very difficult to stop this by yourself. However, 40% of the people in this study said they stopped cutting when they came to realize, either with help or on their own, that they could handle feeling crappy for a while and that they would probably feel better soon. But when you're in the midst of it, you can't get to that will feel better soon part very easily. Nearly a quarter, 24%, stopped because they felt someone loved or cared for them. And so I would say, if you're a parent, again, love versus punishment is the way to approach this. Either they entered a loving relationship or their friends made them feel worthy and cared for. A full 27% said they simply grew out of it. But uh, there are many suggestions about like journaling or listening to music that matches your mood, moving your body, go for a long run. But again, talk to people. Don't. It's a very shaming activity. People hide their cutting, and talk to someone you trust, and definitely consider getting help.
And Sheila, I can hear the passion and the compassion in
Yes.
your voice because I know
Yes.
you have worked with individuals like
Yes.
this, and
Yes.
that's why it's important for you to say that. And
Yeah.
thank you for
Thank you.
saying
Yeah.
that.
Thank you.
I thank you very much, and thank you for the work that you've done and are doing. So
Thank you.
thank you, and sharing that with the rest of the world. And I'm looking at the clock; it's 1 minute and 9 seconds. So
Okay.
Sheila, I'm going to leave it to you, my friend.
I have a couple quotes. Um, Gina Bareka said, "It's not that diamonds are a girl's best friend, but it's your best friends who are your diamonds. It's your best friends who are supremely resilient, made under pressure, and of astonishing value. They're everlasting and they can cut glass if they need to." So,
Excellent.
and then this one is more of a philosophical one. Joseph
Quickly.
Joubert said, "Never cut what you can untie."
Ah,
Yeah.
okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
So, Wayne, thank you so much. What a simple little word that turned out to have so many different ways to use it and to add meaning to our lives. So, thank you, Wayne. Thank you, folks, for listening to us, and we welcome your feedback.
Thanks, everyone. Thank you, Sheila. See you next week.
Bye
Bye
bye.
bye.